Welcome everyone. My name is Gina Martinez-Keddy and I'm the Executive Director of Parent Teacher Home Visits. And I'd like to welcome you today to the Parent Teacher Home Visits Jocelyn Graves Award recognition. Every year we like to honor one of the many home visit champions that we have all across the country for the work that they do to help advance our relationship building model of home visits. And this year we are more than delighted to recognize Nick Faber, the president of the St. Paul Federation of Educators in St. Paul, Minnesota. Normally, we would do this event in person at a parent-teacher home visit conference or other kind of live in-person event. But of course, this year we're not able to do that. But we did not want to let a year go by without recognizing the work of, again, one of our home visit champions. And so we decided to do this celebration virtually. And so here we are today celebrating virtually today. So the next slide gives you a little bit of a summary of what we're going to do over the next 45 to 60 minutes. You will definitely get a chance to learn a little bit more about Nick, congratulate him, celebrate him, and also to hear directly from him. But we also just wanted to give you a heads up that there's going to be some opportunities for you to participate as well. So first of all, we are going to have an open mic segment a little bit later in the agenda today, where you will be able to verbally kind of share your quick congratulations to Nick. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared to unmute yourself and say a couple words, or you can put it in the chat box. The other thing is that we want to ask you to have your cell phone or other device handy because we are going to, a little bit later, we're going to try to create a bit of a Twitter storm out there. And we will be giving you some instructions to some very easy instructions to send a tweet out to congratulate Nick. And then last but not least, towards the end, you'll have an opportunity to go to a website where it allows an interactive exercise to show your appreciations for Nick. So if you don't already have your cell phone or other device handy, go ahead and grab that, and we will be asking you and giving you instructions on what to do with those a little bit later. So with that, I would like to introduce Dawn Deal. Dawn is one of our certified parent-teacher home visit trainers, and he's also been an incredible champion for home visits for many years. And he is also, as it happens, last year's recipient of the Jocelyn Graves Award. And so he's going to be sharing with you a little bit about who Jocelyn Graves was, as well as a little bit about the award that's named after her. So Dawn, would you like to take it from here? You're on mute, Dawn.
There we go. Now I got it. It wouldn't be fun if we didn't have a technological little faux pas right there, right? Congratulations, Nick. You deserve it. You've been a champion for home visits for a long time now up in Minnesota. For those of you who don't know me, I'm in Denver. And so I'm talking to you from Denver, Colorado, from my living room right now. And I'm looking right at my Jocelyn Graves Award right across from me, in front of me, and remembering Jocelyn. I met her with Yesenia. It would be 20 years ago. They came to Denver to our little school, our little inner city school that was struggling to try to create a relationship with the community. And she and Yesenia came to Denver to our school when we figured out through a connection of a friend of a friend of a friend who knew Yesenia and Jocelyn and what they were doing in Sacramento. And that's how they ended up coming to Denver. And we were their first group that they came and tried to create a new training program for this idea that they had long ago, before it became what it is today. I see Yesenia's in the screen, and she knew Jocelyn much more than I did, but she's not feeling very well today enough to talk and share her memories. But the memories I have of Jocelyn, that when she came to our school, I remember her smile. I remember her story about her son. I remember her passion about fighting in the community to try to be heard, to be recognized, to have people actually listen to hers and Yesenia's voice. I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional. Jocelyn's no longer with us, as you guys, I think most of you know. She was a champion for home visits, as well as many other things. She was a mother. She cared passionately about her child and his success and the community she lived in. I remember that passion. When I met her, I had no idea that she was HIV positive. I had no idea that AIDS was a part of her life. And that eventually ended her life. And I didn't know that, but at the time, I didn't even know that I myself was also HIV positive and part of that community as well. And that was something I share with Jocelyn. And I've been one of the lucky ones, and we miss Jocelyn. And so, but this award was chosen to be named after her because of the passion that she had at the very beginning of this whole process. And it recognizes people around the nation who still have the passion that she had in the work that you do still today. And Nick is one of those people. He's been doing this thing. I'm not sure if you've done how many years you've been involved with this, but I remember you going back way back when. And usually we have contact at national events, national conferences. We've never actually done a training together. We've never actually done a home visit together, but congratulations. I share your passion. And I hope that I've given a little bit of an idea of the power that Jocelyn had around this. She had a very powerful story, and I'm remembering her and that day she and Yesenia came and trained me all those years ago. So that's a little introduction of the background of what we're doing today. So thank you for letting me talk for just a few minutes.
Thanks, Don. I would now like to invite Michelle Brooks. I think Michelle is on to say a few words about Nick and introduce him.
So good.
Michelle, are you there?
I am here. I am here. So glad to be here and honored to be here, and so honored to be asked to speak words about Nick Faber. Nick is a very special person. I met Nick when I came onto the board, and I think my claim to fame with Nick is he wrangled me to be his successor as president of the board. But beyond that, Nick has always been a champion for parent-teacher home visits and a mentor to me on the board, really helping me to understand, bringing me along. When I thought I was going to leave the board, he gave me this conversation that convinced me that I need to stay, and I did. And always has been encouraging. But what for me is most impressive is the work that he's done in St. Paul with the union around parent-teacher home visits, really embedding that practice into who the union is and what they do. For me, I find that to be very, very impressive, and I know it was hard work. And so it's my honor to introduce Nick, but before that, we are going to share a video.
Congratulations, Nick. You've done so much to help build parent-teacher home visits over the years. From helping to build a strong local team there in St. Paul that has really grown and nurtured the practice locally, to sharing the work with so many different people all across the country, and for being such a strong and supportive leader who has really helped to take this organization to a whole different level. Thank you so much, and nobody deserves this more than you.
Recording this video on MLK Day is a great time to honor great legacies. It's a pleasure to honor Nick Faber for his incredible commitment to education, to community, to family, and to partnerships. MLK spoke truth to power in the interest of justice. Jocelyn Graves, after whom this award is named, picked up a portion of that legacy and helped to create her own as an activist and builder of community, helping to create the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project. Nick, as an educator, union leader, and former Parent-Teacher Home Visits Board chair, kept that legacy alive. Through his leadership and vision, the organization stayed true to its mission and continues to have an important impact. And while he's no longer on the board, his ongoing work as president of the St. Paul Federation of Educators serves as a model of union leadership against racism and for the education system our children and families deserve. As we begin to move away from a period in this country where racism, hatred of the other, and poor leadership has been on full display, we need allies and leaders like Nick Faber. I'm proud to have him as a friend and fellow traveler. Congratulations, Nick, on receiving the Jocelyn Graves Award for Distinguished Service to Public Education.
Hello, Nick Faber, Carrie Rose here. Wanted to congratulate you on receiving the Jocelyn Graves Award. Couldn't happen to a better leader. I was so lucky to know both you and Jocelyn and to work with both of you as board presidents when I was director. And I know that we would not be where we are as an organization if it were not for the work that you all did. Jocelyn was instrumental in the transition from the local growth to the state growth, and you were very instrumental in leading us through the national expansion. So congratulations, you totally deserve this. And I just want to say on a personal note that you were amazing to work with. I miss your sense of humor on a regular basis, but so glad for our time together, and consider me a fan and a friend for life. Congrats, Nick.
So Jocelyn was my neighbor. She was my neighbor. We were two single moms in a very low-income community in Sacramento, California, and we both happened to come to live in the same street at the same time. We became very, very close. She was my confidant. She was my best friend. She was my sister. We were in a very, very unique place back then when we began the conversation in our community of how we can start building this relationship between the schools and our community. And most of all, Jocelyn was such an incredible person because she cares so much for our community. She cares so much for our kids. And she fought every single day for our kids. not just for their education, but for their safety also. We began in 1998, as most of you know, because you hear it when we do our training, the idea of building this model. And in our neighborhood, because we lived in a low-income community neighborhood, we were afraid of what was happening to our kids. And we really wanted to make a difference. And Jocelyn was the force behind all of that.
Right. All right. Thank you so much. That was a great video, right? And if you, by chance, for those of you that might not know Nick, you're probably starting to get an idea of why he's being honored this year. He's a fantastic human being in so many ways. And in a moment, I am going to invite him to speak. But before that, it is now time to take out that cell phone or other device to create that Twitter storm. And so you might see in the chat box, there's going to be a link there. There it is. There's a link there. And if you click on that link, it'll take you directly to your Twitter account. And so go ahead and click on that link, and there should be a prepared message there for you congratulating Nick. And then when you see that message, all you have to do is hit send. So let's go ahead and click on that link. If you're not signed into your Twitter account, you might need to sign into it, but otherwise it should take you right there to the message. And then all you do is hit send. And question, Nick, are you on Twitter? Because can we tag you? Is Kenria's question.
Yes, I am.
What is your handle?
That is a very good question. I think it's NFABE, as in N Faber, without the R on the end.
Got it. All right. So if you're able to do that to tag Nick, you can do that as well. So if you're still working on that tweet, please continue to do that. But I did promise you that you would hear from Nick. And I'm going to deliver on that promise now. So I would like to, Nick, just again, send you my deepest congratulations and deepest gratitude for all you've done for me personally and for the organization. And I am incredibly proud to be able to share with you and give you the Jocelyn Graves Award for Parent-Teacher Home Visits. Take it away, Nick.
Thanks. Look how she just handed that over to me. Wasn't that impressive? Thanks, Gina. Wow. So first off, I want to just thank Don for your words, and I watched you give your acknowledgement speech, and those of you who've had the privilege of hearing Don speak or do training know that I'm not going to be quite as eloquent as he is. He's a tough act to follow. So thank you for your kind words. And thank you for all you've done for this project, Don, since before my time. Michelle Brooks, every time you thank me for something, I shake my head and say, I can't believe that. You've taught me so much, and the project is so much better because of your leadership and all that you've given before even being on the board, and just moving this work, and the parent engagement community in general. And then I just want to say too, this is just so cool to pop on and see Q. How are you, sir? It's been too long. And Brenda, wow, it's been a really long time since we've been up to your school in Duluth. It's awesome to see you on here. And Roberta, it's been ages. So it's good to see your smiling face. And and Denise, I may need to cancel our meeting tomorrow, so it's good to see you here. When Gina told me about this, there was a long pause because I just felt this is a really tough year to accept this, and it's a really important year to lift up the home visit project. I just want to acknowledge that, you know, SPFE has done a great deal with this in the past as a union and promoting the work, and I accept this in the vein of what SPFE has done, and also just recognizing that it is a tough year because we've kind of put things on hold this year. So I really want to recognize that, and we're getting our bridge visits starting soon here. So it's been a little bit of a rocky road. I'm also just kind of taken back by the video of me standing up there talking, really looking like I know what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to hold up to that impression also. But I do also want to share, just for those of you who do not know the SPFE story, and that is a colleague of Roberta's I met at a leadership training, a week-long training on organizing and so forth. And I was just, you know, bragging about how great my union was. And he was from Sacramento, and he said, yeah, but does your union do home visits? And I was like, say more. And Adam quickly described what was going on with the home visit project and connected me with Carrie Rose, and that's how it started. I'd never seen something, and I know this is a question coming up, but I know I'd never seen something that was such a win for our union, our district, our classrooms, our families, our teachers, our students. Like, it was just something that had to be moved. And so we brought it back and brought that to the district, who was not interested at the time, right? And I say that because we have a great relationship now, but at the time that was not something that they were biting on. And so I took it to my union and said, you know, I think this is really important. And we got some funds to have Carrie and Yesenia come out and train a small group of us at my school. We did this, we did a small group of visits and felt how powerful it was, and brought it to our full union and said, can we put this on the bargaining table, because we think this is really beneficial for students and for families and for the growth of our union. And they did, and we had language around it, and it started to take off. So within a very short time, we'd gone from having a dozen visits in 1 year to having thousands of visits a year now, and across buildings, and having David and Lisa come out and do another training with us. And pretty soon we were doing our trainings internally itself. I think what makes our story so special is as organizers, we really look for issues we know that are felt or impact our members widely and deeply. But sometimes there are things that you need to organize around that are just important. And this was one of them. We knew this would be felt widely and deeply if we advocated for it and pushed for it. But at the time, it wasn't like something our members were saying, we should be doing home visits. And that's where I really credit our staff with recognizing that, our president at the time for really recognizing that, and making this happen and push forward. So I brought the idea, but it was really those around me who recognized that and took that leadership on. And I think it's very similar to our story around restorative practices as a union in St. Paul, where a few years ago, we were in a position where we had a number of teachers who had been assaulted in 1 year, and was just really in a really troubled time as a staff across our district, and our members really wanting to do something, but recognizing that we needed to do the right thing. And they were not calling for restorative practices, but we put that out there. We had the tough conversations and said, this is the direction we need to go. We can't continue to promote the disparities that are happening within our buildings. And we have to find ways of healing and restoring harm that's taken place in our community. And we've gone also from having a small start of 5 or 6 pilot sites to now having getting a federal grant from during the years of Trump administration. Like, we got a federal grant for moving restorative practices in St. Paul, our union and our district working together. So those are the types of things that, I think this was a really important piece, but I also, or I played a piece in this, but I also feel our union, our staff, and our members have really carried this through and seen the leadership. So I accept this in name of everybody involved. I do really want to thank the teachers and educators at John A. Johnson Full Service Community School that were the first to pilot this and take it out and bring it to our bargaining committee. Julian Hinchcliffe and Sarah Johnson, who came out of the woodwork to say, hey, this sounds really good and we can put together a training program and we can train internally here. Our parents, Zuki Ellis, Corinda, Selena, and Maisha, who, we always had trainers that were volunteering and being part of the project and just so enthusiastic and going on to be national trainers as well. And then our other trainers, Yasmin, Melody, Vicky, Bobby, Star, Hannah Pearson, who not only was not a trainer for this, but took the academic parent-teacher teams piece and carried that within our district. And I believe Heather Kilgore's on today, just taking us from a place where just being a great collaborator within our district. The head of our family engagement work in St. Paul Public Schools, it is an honor to work with you and really appreciate how you've helped move home visits in St. Paul and keep it moving. And I'd also like to thank folks that I've been honored to work with while being board chair as well. And again, I'm honored to have been board chair, but that was work that we all did. And blessed to work with a number of the folks I see on here as well. And, we had strong partners like Flamboyant and other unions and also that helped out with that. And we couldn't have done it without you, without AFT, without SPFT, or excuse me, without AFT and, NEA. Everybody who's helped out with the national story, Carrie, it was a blessing to work with you and with Gina following. Thank you for the kind words, both of you. This project would not be where it is without the strong leaderships of 2 executive directors who have done a tremendous job. Michelle, Kwesi, Jen, and David and Lisa. Again, David, you set the standard as a union. It's in Sacramento of how this partnership can work, and that was a really tough act to follow. But look to you for a lot of guidance as well. So thank you so much. Emily, I see you on here somewhere. St. Paul parent also. Thank you so much. And you help any project look good and any leader look good. Your work is phenomenal. So we couldn't have gotten into this national phase without you as well. Sheethal and Andrea Prejean, AFT and NEA, again, was a blessing to work with both of you. Sheethal just carting us all over the country to work with AFT locals. I mean, that's when I talked with Gina, she said, we just keep talking to folks that say they've heard about the project from Nick Faber. Well, part of that is, Sheethal setting up those trainings and so forth through AFT. And it was a great opportunity for us to share the passion our local has. So thank you. And, you know, folks like Howard and Yesenia, Roberta and Gina, again, through Sacramento Act, your work, your vision for coming up with this project to begin with, that has grown into something that is truly remarkable. It's just been a blessing to be part of that and to help carry that on in St. Paul. So I think those are the words I have. When I saw that you had me down for 8 minutes, I was like, oh no. So.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, and congratulations again. And I have to say, it is true. I talk to so many people across the country who say, and not just in Minnesota, but all across the country who say, you know, I heard about this through Nick Faber. And so he's out there spreading the word all over the place. So yes, congratulations, Nick. So Nick, as you've heard, you've got a little bit of a glimpse that Nick has so much valuable knowledge and experience that we can all learn from. And so we want to transition right now and do a little kind of informal mini interview with Nick to pick his brain a little bit on his experiences. So Nick, the first question that we wanted to pose to you is, because you know how to do this, in your experience, what is the best way to form partnerships between those teachers' unions and school districts to advance the home visit practices?
I think one of the best things to do is first off, like you did in Sacramento, is to actually look for folks that are already doing this work. And it might not be in actual form of folks going out and doing a home visit, but there are teachers and educators doing some sort of relational work with families in the community on a regular basis. And I think, you know, being able to look at ways where those folks can start to interact with the union and the district together is really important. And giving them a space to find that value within, not just within their district, but within their union. And I think that's kind of the great thing about the union in many ways, is that it can be a breeding ground for ideas that, you know, a district, because of its size and procedures and so forth, it's sometimes hard to be an incubating ground for some different ideas. And the union can be that space. And I think it has, especially when we're talking about ways of engaging with the community and with parents, that's something that's new for a lot of our locals and a great starting point. So finding those folks that are already doing this work.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I love the image of unions, or perhaps other organizations as well, being that kind of incubating ground, like where can this really take root and grow? Thanks. So the next question is more about you and your leadership. So when you first heard about parent-teacher home visit, what was it that really kind of hooked you and brought you in? And then what was it that inspired you to take additional leadership and leadership roles and responsibilities after you were involved?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, I just never seen something that was such a win across platforms, district, union, school, families before and ever since, right? This is just good. This is just pure goodness all around. And so, I mean, that's what hooked me, because immediately I knew that, especially when we started a number of years ago, you know, local unions and national unions, for that matter, you know, had a misperception, with parents and community. And so to have our members actually in the community building strong relationships was good for our union. And at the same time, it was really good for their students and for them as teachers and educators. So, I mean, that's what really hooked me. It was just something that just seemed to connect across, something that you just couldn't argue with. As far as what made me want to take on additional leadership roles. I have a hard time saying no. But I also saw that as we were starting to have this conversation, and Carrie brought me into some of the conversations about moving nationally, it was so rooted in Sacramento, who had done such a great job. And I knew that in some ways there needed to be a strong union besides Sacramento saying, this can happen here too, because it does run the risk when you're expanding something like this for folks to say, well, that happened in Sacramento, but it couldn't happen anywhere else. And we heard that in St. Paul too, from other locals, like, well, it can happen there, but not somewhere else. And so to actually, to be in that leadership position and be able to bring that forward and talk about that with folks, I thought was just really important to have somebody in that position if we were going to grow nationally.
Well, you certainly did. You certainly did contribute to the growth nationally, again, both in Minnesota and elsewhere. So, and then the third question is, what advice that you have for school leaders, districts, educators, and union leaders to successfully implement a home visit practice?
Again, I think find folks that are already doing this. And I think one of the things that is just really important is to give them ongoing support and a space to share. And I think one of the things that we did early on was just recognize that because our folks were accessing the program through their contract rather than through their building, I can just remember the early trainings we had of, David and Lisa talking about, well, the principal will have conversations at staff meetings about how our home visit's going. And I just recognized that that wasn't going to happen. So we had to bring folks together to really talk about their experiences if they were going to learn from those experiences and if we were going to actually move them as educators. And so providing spaces where folks could come together in a debrief on a regular basis, so that it's not just the training and then you're done and on your own, but constantly coming back. And I think the other thing about that was it was just really important to constantly come back so we could talk about the elements of the training itself. And I can remember, I don't know if it was you, Gina, or Carrie, or somebody else just saying, we never want the home visits to just disintegrate into idle chit chat, right? Like we really want to build those relationships and be intentional about learning our hopes and dreams that we both have for our students and building this partnership with parents. And if we're not like constantly bringing each other together to remind each other of that and hold each other accountable, that can easily dissolve away.
Yeah, that's awesome. It strikes me what you're talking about is that particularly with the debriefs, because St. Paul has done such great work around that. And it really is kind of a constant learning, not only about learning about the families and the students, but also learning about oneself along the way. And I think it's in that relationship of how do we learn about someone else and how do we learn about ourselves in this relationship. So speaking of hopes and dreams, you mentioned it, Nick. I'm sure everybody knows that we always ask in our home visits, we ask the families, what are your hopes and dreams for your child? And in some ways, parent-teacher home visits is kind of your child a little bit, Nick. So what are your hopes and dreams for the future of PTHV?
And as you can imagine, this is the part that also gets really emotional for me because I think listening to Kwesi's words, I just really appreciated that from the video because I feel like my hopes and dreams for this project right now is that this is the work that helps the healing in this country that needs to take place right now. We are in just a critical transition in demographics in this country about who we are as learners and who we are as educators still, right? So I can't speak to everybody's school district that's on the call, but in St. Paul, we're still primarily a white workforce, and we're still primarily families of color that we serve and have the honor of serving. And this work is more important than ever for bridging, especially in the Twin Cities with the unrest with the murder of George Floyd this summer. There is just so much work to do. And I think I was really excited as I was leaving from board chair, because I felt like, and just my conversations with some of you, I feel like this work is still going on, but the project is moving from just being a family engagement strategy to really being work around racial equity and justice right now. And I think with the demographics of who our teaching force is, and that is changing, right? And who we are teaching, it's important for us to really break down those lines between parent engagement work and racial equity work. And realize it for what it is that they overlap significantly, and they should, and we have to encourage that and have those conversations more. So I'm really excited, because I do feel like this is the work that can really truly make the difference, because it's real, it's grassroots, it's in the community. And I can still remember, I think it was the second or third year, we were a project, and we, working with Emily, put together just a quick evaluation, or not a quick evaluation, but a survey with our members as part of an evaluation. And, I want to say it was close to 90% of our members said that through home visiting, it had changed their assumptions that they had about their families. And there was many in our union that didn't want us to share that information because they were embarrassed about that, right? And we recognized that, no, this is important because we are addressing it. We are changing it. And as a union, we are helping facilitate that work happening. And in follow-up surveys with our members, we still find that happening today. And working in conjunction with the racial equity work that our district has done and our state union has done with our members, it helps to amplify that work and break down the barriers that we're hoping to. So those are my hopes and dreams.
Thanks, Nick. I love those hopes and dreams, and I think they're consistent with where we want to go as an organization. And so I am looking forward to working with you, Nick, and with all of you in this meeting to begin to realize those hopes and dreams. I would like to now turn it over to my colleague, DeQuindra Bertrand. She is our communications consultant, and she is going to facilitate our open mic segment. So DeQuindra.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you everyone for joining. And to you, Nick, I just want to say congratulations. We haven't had the pleasure of meeting before now, but in the course of planning this work, I have heard so many wonderful stories about you. So I really couldn't wait to meet you. And if you look at your Twitter feed right now, you might be a little bit overwhelmed by the number of people who have just shared their love with the Twitterverse. And so now we'd like to take the opportunity to share that love with you personally right here, right now. So I am inviting everyone here to share your congratulations, share your well wishes, share your personal stories and anecdotes. Please use the chat box. Please feel free to raise your hand and unmute yourself. We want to hear all of your wonderful stories about Nick and your work with home visiting with him. So the time is now. Please feel free to share. And I have it on good authority. I heard through the grapevine that one David Fisher is in the house, and he has a wonderful story to share. So how about we start with him? But everybody, please take to the chat box and get ready to share your love with Nick.
Thanks. Hey, Nick, good to see you. And you
Good to
know,
see you,
good to see
brother.
everybody. It's like, I haven't seen a lot of you for a long time, and brings back a lot of memories. And well, congratulations. You know, this award is having known Jocelyn and, you know, been part of it from the beginning. I know how well deserving of this award you are, Nick. So I just got to say that I remember when Carrie first told me that there was this training opportunity in St. Paul with this teachers union, and I had heard lots of good things about this. Excuse my language, it's kick-ass teachers union in St. Paul. And so you know, matter of fact, you know, about community organizing and social justice and whatnot. So I was, you know, excited. So yeah, definitely want to be part of that. I remember Lisa and I heading out there. For some reason, I remember our plane was delayed, I believe, Lisa, right? And remember thinking, I don't know if we're even gonna make it in time. It was a morning training. And remember Carrie's saying, no, you have to make it. Somehow you have to make it in time. And I said, well, okay. So I remember getting called on the plane, like I think the last standby to get called and the last one to make it there. But with not a lot of sleep, I remember being how impressed that it was at your union hall, and it was the union that was pushing this and wanting to get it into their contract. And although we were a big part of it at the beginning, we meaning SCTA, our union, you guys, it was all you at the beginning, and that takes great leadership. And I remember being also impressed by the conversations, you referenced them earlier, that you didn't just want these visits to happen, you wanted to actually facilitate the conversations at your union. And, you know, as a union leader myself, I know that it's hard sometimes. You know, we have an obligation to support and represent our members, but there's also an obligation to lead in ways that's not always comfortable. And to do that, you need to have credibility. And so, Nick, that's, I think, one of the huge reasons, if not the main reason, why this got off the ground so well in St. Paul, is the community, your members, and people that know you, feel your credibility, and you can have those, as they call, courageous conversations. Well, you know, I don't know how well the training was, or you know, we're not professional trainers, but I went well enough that you guys kept doing the visits. And I guess sort of the rest is history. And I just, you know, can't believe every time I, you know, think about how long it's been in 1998, besides feeling very old, feeling very proud to have gotten to know all of you, and in particular, Nick. Congratulations. I'm really proud of you, and you know, keep up the good work.
Thanks, David. I still remember that. I think it was snow or ice or something that caused your delay in flight. So next time we want to do a training, we'll fly to Sacramento, okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Wonderful. Who'd like to speak next? Please, Cornell. You're muted.
All right. First, I just want to say congratulations, Nick. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cornell Cooper. I'm currently a principal in Inver Grove Heights. But when I first met Nick, I was a fourth grade teacher in St. Paul, and I was invited with a lot of the great names that you mentioned, Nick. Sarah, Julianne, I see you here, and Maisha, and became a part of the Parent Teacher Home Visit Training Program, and went to San Francisco and just learned all about it. And it totally changed how I taught, how I was as an educator, and not only understanding or getting to hear my students, but I had a chance to experience my students, you know, being a part of that and going to their homes and learning their families, and just getting to see you, Nick, as a leader, is that what you've done is you've caused a ripple effect, because not only have you affected me, but you affected people out here in my district who are asking to do home trainings and all of that. And so it's been so powerful of what you've done. So me as a principal, you've affected me. So as a teacher, as a principal, and I tell you, you are a fantastic leader. If you said you were going to the moon to start parent teacher home visit programs up there, I'm with you. I am with you the whole way. So once again, I mean, this is well deserved. I just wanted to say that I'm always watching you. Please keep going. You're inspiration. Congratulations.
Thank you. Miss you, my friend. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Great stories. I would love to call your attention, Nick, to some of the comments you have in the chat box. They are a treasure trove of just love for you. So please have a look at those when you can. I'd like to invite maybe one more, and we have something else special planned for you. Oh, I see 3 hands raised, so let's try and do them quickly. I saw Brenda, Jen Calder, and Yesenia. Why don't we save Yesenia for the last? So please, Brenda.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll jump in here. I want to go back to the article Nick wrote. I believe, Nick, it was for the AFT several years ago.
Oh.
That's what jump-started the this home teacher visit project in Duluth. I was the principal in Duluth, and we had a team. We found that article and heard you speak, I think, Nick, at a conference. And Nick was our lifeline. He got us going. At the middle school in Duluth, we sent several teachers to a training, and then we also obtained a large grant to launch this. But Nick was the one we kept coming back to for advice, and he just really helped roll out this project beyond what we could even share. So, and Nick, I want to say I'm in Hutchinson now.
Yeah,
so I'm not in Duluth. Yep, and then I want to mention John Knoxheim. He's now in White Bear Lake, and he is moving this forward there. I worked with him in Duluth. So thanks, Nick, for everything you've done, and we want to continue to reach out to grow these in our new communities that we're at now.
Great, thank you. I'll use this for a shameless plug for the article you mentioned is now, I tweaked it a little bit, but it's in a book that just came out on Rethinking Schools about social justice and your teachers unions. I can't remember the exact name of it. There's a number of authors in it, but that article's in there too. So plug. It would have been a better plug if I actually knew the title, sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, hey, Nick.
Hey, Jen.
So good to see you, my friend. I got to serve with Nick on the PTHV board. He was my prez, and I was his secretary. And we were part of this nascent board, you know, the pre-board and then the board. I'm in part of the leadership team. So we had lots of conversations, lots of meetings, and part of a board that was trying to figure out how do we support an organization that felt like a movement, but even more than a movement, it feels like a family. And how do we provide the supports needed for that? And he really guided the board through the strategic planning process, which was no small thing, which had lots of conversations, lots of work to map out a 5-year strategic plan that really helped to build out the organization, and then continued that, and then did great recruitment and a good handoff, you know? So I have to say, one of the things in that early years that I so appreciated, you can tell Nick has just an evenness and a calm, and he carries that energy. There's a passion behind it, and you can also hear that, but that combination, so huge for a leader to have, both the passion and the commitment, both to the members that he served, and to the students and the families and the community that he served. And so this evenness balanced with passion was so powerful to be a part of. You also know he leads with a humor, very, very dry, very, very quick, a number of puns, some good, some marginal, but always appreciated. And he often led with a bag of homemade baked goods. If you don't know this man can bake peanut butter cookies, blondies, And that act of breaking bread and sharing and feeding us in our meetings and coming together and breaking bread is really powerful. And I think for me, because he and I got to work so much and have so many conversations, I was really inspired by his vision and leadership in the union and what it means to be of service to the teachers and how you support them in the profession, of service to the students and families that you serve, and how you find that alignment and where he saw home visits fitting in with that. And so I really valued that and really appreciated just learning about that and hearing about that and his continued fight for justice in his community. He never claimed to have all the answers or be perfect, but he's always committed to being better and to doing right. And so I'm really proud of him. I'm super grateful for his friendship, his laughter, and his commitment. So congrats, Nick.
Thanks, Jen. I rarely get compliments on my sense of humor, so nice. Appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. Miss you.
Thank you so much, Jen. That was beautiful. And Yesenia, over to you.
Thank you, DQ. Hi, Nick. I'm still trying to recover from this pneumonia, but I could not be here for you present today to see you get this award. Nobody else deserves it more than you. One of my loves for Nick Faber is the way he leads, and a lot has been said about that already. But for me, I was so impressed from you coming all the way to Sacramento to meet with us when we were doing the expansion and spending days and days with us and just working with us for that vision that we had. To being so impressed because of the people that you put together. Amazing, incredible teacher like Julianne, Mr. Cooper, Star, Maisha, Sarah, and seeing you walk in, my Suki, and watching you at every conference, walk in with all those beautiful, amazing women and gentlemen, and just see the passion and the love that they had for the organization. And that all came through you, through your work, through your passion, through your love for the communities, for the families, for our students, for everything, the work. And you just, you are amazing. And I just want to say how grateful I am for everything that you did for this organization. There's a person in my life that always said to me, parent-teacher home visits sifts a lot of people, but only the good people stay. Mm-hmm. And you're one of those good people. And I just wanted to be here today to say that I appreciate all you have done. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your passion and your commitment for parent-teacher home visit. And Jocelyn, where she sat, is so happy with all of us every year because we choose the right person. And you are that person today. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Yesenia.
Thank you, everyone. Wonderful comments. Oh, wow. Yes, feeling it. Oh, Nick, we have one grand finale for you. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Allie, to lead the next portion, which is hopefully a lovely send-off for you. So thank you, everyone, for all your comments. Allie, over to you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, parent
can't hear you.
Administrative assistant.
Oh, Allie, I'm so sorry. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm going to lean in a little bit because I have some volume issues, but nice to meet you all. I'm Allison, parent teacher home visits administrative assistant. Big congratulations, Nick, to second what DeQuandra said. You know, it gives goosebumps to hear all of these amazing stories about the work that you've done. And so we would like to, one, thank everyone for all of your, the amazing stories that you shared about Nick and all of the beautiful work he's done. And now we're gonna ask you all to bring that up on the screen here by going to our WooClap application. So if you can pull out your phones and in your browser, go ahead and type in www.wooclap.com / all capitals Nick F, Nickf, and go ahead and put up either a word or a small phrase of what you appreciate about Nick. We would love to see those on the screen here. And you can share as much as you would like to. And so we have many echoes of all of the amazing stories that we've heard over this this virtual ceremony. Nick is a great leader. He's funny, he's dedicated, he's thoughtful, supportive, inspiring, it's very clear, humble, brave. So very Nick. I love that one. So very Nick. Persistent and strong. We love this. Thank you all. So as you can see, all of these descriptions clearly indicate why Nick was the perfect choice to be the recipient of our 2020 Jocelyn Graves Award. So thank you all so much for sharing.
All right, thank you, Allie. Thank you, everyone. We're going to wrap up our day today, but before we do that, I want to encourage you, you can still go to WooClap and put your thoughts in, but take a look at the last slide here. This is the Parent Teacher Home Visit website. We encourage you to check it out, browse the resources and stories and other information that we have there. And while you're there, go ahead and sign up for our monthly newsletter so that you can stay on top of what all the latest and greatest news from Parent Teacher Home Visits. And then also in the chat box, you're going to see some links to our social media pages. We would love to engage with you on social media as well. So please follow us, friend us, take a look at our social media pages and stay in touch with us there as well. So last but not least, Nick, thank you so much for everything that you have done, not only for Parent Teacher Home Visits, but for your community, for many communities, and really for the world. Your work has, somebody said it, has had ripple effects all across communities, all over the place. So we are so honored to know you and to work with you and to have you be part of the Parent Teacher Home Visit family.
Thank you.
So thank you all for being here today, and we're going to conclude and hope you all have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Be safe.
You too.
Bye, Nick.
Bye, Julianne. See you soon.
Yep.
All right.